Hello and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. It is Wednesday, December 19th, getting close to Christmas 2018. And tonight's episode is entitled Fed Rate Hike Bashes Everything. What is next? Big day in the markets today. Let's take a look at what happened in those markets. Now before we start, you can see your Smaulgld shot glass. There it is, now newly minted and ready for sale at the Smaulgld store. Pablo noted he says it sounded like a silver coin. Actually, it wasn't. That was a ceramic shot glass. Yes, indeed. Smaulgld has ceramics, mugs, and glasses in studio. No silver coins at hand. Dropping the mic already. What a performance, says La Plata Peak. Good evening, Smaulgld game changers. Let's take a look at our markets. We're going to start out with gold, but really the big story today is, and we're going to get into the Fed rate hike today and what they said about it, how the market reacted. But let's just take a look at the charts first for gold and silver. Now, the gold price today was up before the announcement. And as a result of the announcement, I'm not sure why, it went down a little bit on the day. It was only down less than 0.5%, but it had been as high as it had breached the 1250 mark, had ratcheted up to 1258, and then fell down. And in the aftermarket, it's up slightly. So it's at about 1242, but remember, it had opened the day at 1249, had gone over the 1250 mark. I don't know what that means, but today was not a day you would think that the gold price would go down. The markets got hit. Equity markets, we'll see that. Silver price, well, let's see what happened with silver. Pretty much the same chart. You'll see the chart for silver pretty much mirrored the gold chart. Went up a bit in the morning. Had gotten as high as 1480. Headed towards that $15 mark. Here, the dog barking. He loves that when silver gets close to $15. Close to 1480, and then it fell off. You can see it fell down just like gold did after the announcement. This rate hike was telegraphed, and the reaction, or what the Fed said afterwards, was pretty much what I had said would happen. Is it'd be a dovish hike, meaning maybe they expected them to say this is it and we're never going to do anymore, but they backed off from indicating maybe 3 hikes next year down to 2. And of course, they can change that as they go along, but I guess maybe they're expecting a little more cooing from the doves and they didn't hear it. So silver also went down, but not as much as gold on a percentage basis, which is rare. Usually when they both drop, silver drops more, which means I think this isn't a bad day for gold and silver, because silver only down 2 cents, down a little bit, down 0.13%. So what does that do for the gold-silver ratio? The unsustainable gold-silver ratio that should be 16 to 1 or 9 to 1 or 1 to 1, depending on which silver pumper you listen to. Well, it did go down below 86. It's been below 86. It really didn't go down much at all. It went down a little bit, and it's at about 85.21. A far cry from 16 to 1, 9 to 1, or even 1 to 1. Over on the cryptos. Now, cryptos today followed through. They had a huge morning. They were up big time. In fact, Bcash was up close to 50%. Still up 27%. But Bitcoin right now is at 3714. That's only up 1.43% on the last 24 hours. But let's take a look. I managed to pull a screenshot here of Bitcoin. Look at this. Bitcoin had started the morning, or started the day around, you could see 6 a.m. It was at about 3750. And then in the middle of the night on last night, it was down around 3,700. It went all the way up to 3,900 plus. Then you can see it's like a, I don't know what that is. It goes up and it goes down and it goes up. It's like a roller coaster. And that chart there ending at 3670 is a little outdated. Took it about an hour or two ago. It's back to 37.16. But you can see we had a 250, 300 point move up and then the same move retracement back. Bitcoin Cash, as I mentioned, still up 27.19% at 131.73. Now remember, before the fork, Bitcoin Cash ratcheted up to about $660, then collapsed to about $80. So this is a big move, but still far off of its recent peak and far off of its all-time high. Ethereum at 100, that's pretty much flat. Litecoin down less than 2% at 29.03, and Ethereum Classic at 439. That's up 6.77%. The momentum was clearly on the way up. Now, I'm not sure. I think that the fall off the peak today occurred before the Fed. It went back down, as you can see on the chart, and then around noon it went back up. But then it did fall around 2 o'clock, around the same time. You could see it. It rebounded to about 3,800. And then when the Fed came out with its announcement, it followed the stock market down. Now that's pretty interesting price movement there. Some other interesting news in the crypto space. I found this very interesting. This wasn't the headline of the article, but Coinbase just moved $5 billion worth of their cryptocurrencies. They only have basically three. They have Bcash, Bitcoin, and Litecoin, and then they have a little Ethereum trading, Ethereum Classic trading. But they said they were doing some type of internal movement where they have to store coins and they have to make them secure. And in the article, it said Coinbase holds 25% of all Litecoin in circulation. Now, that's massive because Litecoin trades all over the world, and Coinbase is not the largest platform. And meanwhile, Ethereum, they only have 8% of the Ethereum that's traded and 5% of the Bitcoin that's traded. Now, what's interesting about that is when you buy on these exchanges, you do have the option, and I'm wondering if they're ever going to change this. You can, quote, take delivery. But what I noticed recently is if you go to set up a buy, they tell you that you can trade it immediately, meaning you can go on and buy a Litecoin and at $28, and if it goes to 30, you can trade it and put that into your cash or their stable coin, whatever. I mean, they must have some kind of stable coin. But you can trade it immediately. But you can't get it for 6 or 7 days. Which leads me to believe, not that I'm any sleuth genius, that they don't necessarily have all of the Litecoin or Bitcoin or Ethereum that you're buying and trading. They're assuming that most people are going to buy them, especially now that they've got this new security. You keep it on the exchange and you trade it. And the fact that you can't get it for 6 or 7 days clearly means they don't have it, because why can't you buy it and get it? They have to set up, it seems to me, and maybe the company can clarify this, that they have to set this up if they want to do it this way to extend the period from which you can buy and actually take delivery, meaning you place an order for a Litecoin, you should be able to get a Litecoin. They say, well, you got one, you can trade it, but you can't take it off the exchange and then go buy something with it for 6 days. So I don't know how they manage that. I don't know what the technical rules are, how they do that, but that sounds to me very much like fractional reserve trading. Now, there is this guy, Trace, I don't remember his Trace, you guys must know him, Trace Mayer or something. He's saying that on January 3rd, that people should take their coins off the exchange, like a run on the exchanges. I think there's some anniversary to do with the Satoshi white paper. But I don't know why if you were going to do that, why you would wait until that day. I think if everyone did it on that day, a lot of people might find that their coins aren't available. I'm not sure it's the smartest thing to do on one particular day. I think if people are going to do that, they should do it now, if that's what they think, if they're worried about that kind of thing. I mean, if you're just gonna keep stuff there, then you just keep it there and you don't care. It's just like you don't take your stock certificates when you buy stocks. But if you wanted to, I don't think it'd be a smart idea to have everybody ask for their stock certificates on a given day, or the same thing to ask for your gold out of a pooled account. Because it's obviously, sounds like to me, is that there isn't a one-to-one correspondence, because if you can't get your Bitcoin or Litecoin when you buy it, it seems to me they don't have it. Or they may have it, but they don't want to give it to you because they don't have it for everybody. And I'd like to know what you think. I don't know how it works, but it sounds to me very much like a fractional reserve scheme, so to speak. All right, in other news today, looks like, and you can never tell with Trump, that he has caved on the wall in the budget. Looks like the Congress and the Senate, and they've all agreed to some continuing resolution, and they're gonna keep the government open for another whatever until February. And that continuing resolution does not include funding for the wall, like $5 billion. And in fact, I think there was $1.9 billion in the original that was for border security. That's not even in there at all. Now that sounds like a cave. You know, that's what Trump ran on. He says he's going to fund the wall. Not only is he going to fund the wall, Mexico is going to pay for it. He puts out this tweet. Mexico is paying indirectly for the wall through the new USMCA, the replacement for NAFTA. Far more money coming to the U.S. because of the tremendous dangers at the border, including large-scale criminal and drug inflows. The United States military will build a wall. Now, I didn't say the United States military budget will pay for the wall. Maybe that's what he's hinting at. I'm sure we haven't heard the end of it, but it sounds like, for now, that this money is not going to come out of the budget or the continuing resolution. However, we also learned today that somehow over $10 billion, now the wall costs $5 billion, over $10 billion from the United States is going to go to southern Mexico and Centro America. I'm not sure how that flies, but that is part of the deal as well. Now remember Judge Emmett Sullivan yesterday, who seemed very out of character, I don't know, or just seemed not judicial, to accuse General Flynn in his sentencing trial of treason, when indeed the prosecutors had not accused or charged him with treason. And he made it seem like Flynn was a loathsome individual who'd sold out his country, and he pointed to the flag. I guess this guy enjoys the spotlight, because that was the news of the day, that the judge, Emmett Sullivan, had chastised and given General Flynn a dressing down for his lack of loyalty to the flag, country, and so on. Of course, it was incorrect, because he had said that General Flynn, while he was acting as the National Security Advisor, was acting on behalf of a foreign agent working for Turkey. He had the timeline wrong. He wasn't. He had resigned that position a month earlier, but that didn't stop Emmett from dressing him down. Now, the whole thing is very odd, because he kept trying to give Flynn an opportunity to say, I don't want to plead guilty. I don't want to plead guilty. And Sullivan then said, well, if you don't want to plead guilty, just because Mueller over here says you should get a minimal sentence doesn't mean I'm going to give you a minimal sentence. Maybe you want to consider that. And he said, no, that's all right. I'll take the 0. And he just refused, and he said, are you sure? He goes, no, that's okay. I'll take the 0. I'm not gonna challenge this. So, not sure what's going on there, but it looks like that plea is now going to stick. And then they're going to sentence him after he cooperates or doesn't cooperate with the prosecutor, or becomes a witness, and whatever they want to say. But today, Sullivan was again in the news. This time, he overturned a ruling by then Attorney General Sessions to remove an asylum-seeking mother. They called her Carmen, but that is not her name. I think it's a code name. Her and her daughter had sought asylum in the United States, abusive husband or something like that. And Jeff Sessions said, we've had enough of this kind of stuff, and we're gonna send you back home. And they sent her back home, and Sullivan was enraged and said the deportation was outrageous. And he threatened to hold Sessions and other Trump administration officials in contempt. So he is quite making a name for himself. It seems that 2018 and 17 have been the year of the activist judge making sure that whatever they don't like that's going on in the Trump administration, they get on their platform and they make the news and they tell you, we don't like this. All right, well, that does it for news on the wall and Trump. Here's something very interesting today that happened. We learned that Facebook allowed Microsoft's Bing search engine to see the names of Facebook users and friends without their consent, and also gave Netflix and Spotify the ability to read Facebook users' private messages. This isn't metadata collecting where they said a lot of people in their instant chats or whatever they have on Facebook, the Facebook chats, they're talking about Smaulgld mugs. Maybe you want to get in on that and advertise that. No. This is just actually opening up and showing it to them. Now, all this stuff we hear, oh, they're a private company, they can do what they want. Wrong goes star. I mean, this isn't even, I don't even think they're even using that defense, but someone might bring it up. Just because they're a private company doesn't mean they could take your data and not even tell you and hand it around. I'm sure it's maybe it isn't a violation of the privacy policy. Maybe if you read your privacy policy, Facebook allows all of that. But you are being tracked in your privacy incidentally, accidentally, and intentionally. They are looking at what you do, listening. It used to be, I thought, they're just looking at metadata. No, they're not. They're specifically looking at whomever they want to look at. And who knows why Spotify or Netflix would want to see your private messages. But maybe what they do is they figure if they're allowed to look at them, they can do keyword searches and they can search the private messages and see how much a particular movie gets mentioned. And then they could say, well, this movie got mentioned more than this one. And then they can drill down and say, it sounds like 80% of people talking about this movie like this one. Well, that means that we've got some good feedback here. You know, sometimes people, when they're on a private message, they think a movie sucks and they may have some choice words for it. They may not put it out on the Facebook public or the Twitter public. They'll tell their friend how much it sucked and they'll explain why. And they may explain in terms that might get them booted from Facebook or Twitter. So it's very valuable information to have. It also highlights that your privacy is really on those things is not there. All right, what else do we got? Now, before we move on to the Fed, which is our next big story of the evening, actually the topic of the evening, this one's interesting. Now, everyone knows about Flynn's sentencing because everyone is interested in bringing down Donald Trump, and that's what the news is about 24/7. But this gentleman here was sentenced today. In fact, I forgot about this, and I haven't even checked to see what happened. Shows you how much, probably not even reported on. This guy, James Wolfe, he is an aide to, I think it was the Senate Judiciary Committee, one of them. I think Warner and Feinstein are on this committee, and this guy was leaking like a sieve. He would, and leaking to younger women reporters. So he'd say, oh, I want to help you out in your career, and he'd hand over the goods. Top-notch stuff. Reporters at the New York Times, I forgot 2 other places, and basically giving up the store. And then, of course, these reporters, they look like superstars because unnamed sources said, well, the unnamed source is this guy here, James Wolfe. But not only is that interesting, Senator Warren and Feinstein are seeking leniency for him. Why? Why would you seek leniency? Someone who's personally handing out sensitive information to reporters that he's supposedly having romantic interludes with. Doesn't make much sense at all. All right, well, let's now move on. We'll do a little prelude here to our Fed. Oh, no, we got, I just want to show you, before we move on to the Fed, a couple of things. You know, we look at these silver stocks over at the COMEX, so I did pull out the charts. Some of you missed these. These are from Nick Laird's Gold Charts or Us. But the Brinks silver stockpile is still up there, still pretty high, 52.5 million ounces. You can see they've added a lot of silver. Now, this isn't Brinks knows what's coming, and Brinks is stacking the shiny, and Brinks is like J.P. Morgan, who's not even stacking it on their own. This is not their own account. Everyone knows what Brinks is. It's a place to hold not just precious metals, but a place to hold valuables. You could put bearer bonds in there. I'm sure you could put, I don't know. You could put anything. But this is just the silver, that not all the silver they have, but the silver that's in those 9995 1,000 ounce COMEX eligible bars. And they got 52.5 million ounces. That's a lot of silver. That's more than the biggest year ever in American Silver Eagle mintages, which was 47 million in 2015. Also, we want to show you, keep you up to date on JP Morgan. Their silver depository also has got a big stack. It's gone down a little bit. It's gone down a little bit, down under 150 million. Still a large amount there, but it's at 149.356. I know you guys like that chart. It'll be up again. It'll be on the Smaulgld site tomorrow if you want to take another look at it. Smaulgld.com. That's the place you go. Just check out the charts, see all the archive videos, and to buy your Smaulgld mug, Smaulgld.com. One more for you. This one is, we haven't tracked this in a while, but looks like we're going to intersect soon on the Dow versus the gold ratio. Right now, the ratio is down to 18.81. At one point, it was at 22 to 1 earlier when we were doing these videos a couple of months ago. And you can see the red line. There is no red line. Only thing in red on there is the Smaulgld logo. The gold line shows the price of gold, and you can see it there at about $12.50. This doesn't include today. This is as of yesterday. Those lines are going to be very close because the Dow's gone down a bit. That's the black line. You could see on the left-hand corner, you could see the matrix, whatever you call it. It's going down below 2,300. And then on the right side, it's the price of gold above 1,200. Those lines are going to cross, and I'm going to say that that number is going to get down close to 18 to 1. So good movement for gold versus the Dow. All right, now let's see if we got anything else you need. That is all you need to know for today. I listened to Smaulgld, and he told me what I need to know. And now I am informed. And now I'm going to do X, Y, and Z because I heard it on Smaulgld. I doubt anyone thinks that. But, because I try not to brainwash you with narratives. By the way, we do have the Smaulgld Pet Bowl. You can check that out at the Smaulgld store. I'll give you the link later. You just go to the Smaulgld website. You can get the link to the store. And also, of course, the Smaulgld shot glass. Shot glasses are cool. They're cheap. You can stack them. They literally stack. And you're good to go if you have them. All right, now let's move on to our main segment of this evening's podcast, which is what's going on with the Fed. I mean, the Fed really took a number to the markets today. Let's see what's going on here. Where is it? We want to start with Alan Greenspan. Yes, Alan Greenspan. Uh-oh. We got a moron here.
Presenting the distinguished international news commentator and foreign correspondent,
Smaulgld. This has been an extraordinary week in world affairs.
No, I told Hillary Clinton that that's moronic.
All right, before we get into what Jerome Powell did, let's take a look at some prior Fed chairs and their recent pronouncement. Alan Greenspan, just the other day, warns investors bad economic times are looming. Fortune magazine says the former Fed chair says, run for cover. Alan Greenspan, the maestro who started this whole thing off back in 1987 when he refused to allow the stock market to go down, and then when he blew up the housing bubble in the early 2000s. Well, then, if you recall, Janet Yellen, just the other day also, she warned another financial crisis could be brewing. Uh-oh, we got a moron here. She warned of giant holes in the system. Now, just a year ago, Miss Yellen, we will remind our viewers, said this. I don't expect another financial crisis in our lifetimes. Yeah, okay, well, I guess everyone is living longer than she thought because now she expects one, batten down the hatches, and here comes another financial crisis. So she's worried about all this, and Unbelievable how these Fed officials, while they're in office, everything is fine. The committee says this and the committee says that, and everything is everything is fine. They're waving their magic wand and plotting dots on a board and telling you that they've got the economy figured out and there's nothing to worry about. And then what happens? Boom. They start telling you, oh, well, there's a financial crisis looming. Unbelievable. All right, so what happened today? Jerome Powell raised interest rates. In fact, the entire committee voted to raise interest rates. No debate whatsoever. And they've now raised rates 7 times. They're up to 2.225 to 2.5%. They did, now this is interesting, they did take their forecast down for GDP from 3.1% this year down to 3%, and then from 2.5% next year to 2.3%. I never understand how these people make their projections, but that doesn't matter. Once you say to yourself, okay, so we forecast the economy slowing down to 2.3% next year, and yet we still say we should raise interest rates twice. Now that's what I call living in denial. Because if you see slowing economy and 2.3%, if you hit it another couple of times with interest rates, you're going to be back close to zero, and then you're in recession territory if you get 2 quarters of GDP below zero. So I'm not sure why they would forwardly guide you towards 2 more, rather than saying, it looks like things are slowing down next year. We're going to wait and see what the first quarter looks like before we do anything. But they never want to say that. They want to make it sound like they already know what the 2019 is going to be. It's going to be 2.3%. That's fine. We know how to deal with it. They don't know that. And it's really interesting that they actually act like they do, and the markets pretend that they really understand what's happening. Now, we haven't heard from Donald Trump, and there's talk. I don't think it's going to happen, but they're in the statute, the Federal Reserve statute. Trump can remove Powell for cause. I mean, what is the cause going to be? That he was doing his job, but I didn't like how he was doing it. So the cause is he raised interest rates. You never know with Trump. I mean, if Trump feels like they're out to sabotage him, then maybe he replaces Powell. I don't know. I think that would line people up. See, a lot of people are Fed defenders. You read the mainstream media, it's like the Fed is independent, the Fed is an institution that has our interests in mind, and they're free from politics and so on. So they'd be very upset, I think, if he were to make any move to remove him. And obviously, his browbeating publicly didn't change Powell's view. Now, I remember Greenspan once said, I should have the clip for you, that there's nobody in the world that can do anything to the Fed. Well, and I think they act that way. And it does seem incongruous to me that the Fed is in this aggressive mode. And I always thought that they would be. And I always said that they would raise rates a few times, maybe up to 2%, because they needed to have that space between themselves and the other central banks to appear prudent, to give the dollar a boost, to give a little more confidence that the Fed actually, you can get interest off of the U.S. Treasuries as opposed to many bonds that may even pay negative rates. So it made sense for them to raise them, in my mind, in their minds, meaning how they think. I always thought that raising interest rates to them would make sense, even though a lot of your commentators, they could never raise rates, they'll never raise rates. Yeah, we know how that worked out. They raised them 8 times. Well, a lot of people thought they'd raise them 10 times, so I'm more right than they were. No, you're not. You're wrong. You said they would never raise rates, and that the next thing they would do is take them to negative and do QE. But anyway, I think the way they think made sense for them to raise rates, and I've been saying it since 2015 and 16 that they would continue. Now I guess where I'm stuck is I think maybe politics do have a bit to play here. They may want to err on the side of throwing the economy into recession just to get an extra rate hike, because it's justifiably in their interest to keep raising rates, because they want to be the big prudent central bank, and if it hurts Trump at the same time, you kill two birds with one stone. So I think there's a bit of that going on, and I wouldn't be surprised if they just continue to raise rates. And the problem for Trump is all these rate hikes have a delayed effect. So the time to have removed Powell would have been now. I don't think he's going to, but the point is that if you're going to stop this from happening and you want to have the economy on an uptick in 2020 so you get reelected, you have to reverse this right away. You need to be having a rate tight. We need to have a loosening cycle, not a tightening cycle in play. Now, Arthur Burns, who was the Fed chair from 69 to 74, Nixon hired him specifically to make sure that they had loose monetary policy so that when 72 came around, Nixon was looking good. And Arthur Burns, I guess, got the message when he was hired by Nixon, but didn't get the memo that told him, you're not independent, don't do it, don't raise interest rates. And to make that point clear, if you read The Secret Diary of Arthur Burns, which only if you're a real wonk on this kind of stuff like I am, you realize that Burns back then in early 70s realized, oh, I'm not independent. I mean, Nixon can tell me what to do, and Nixon basically told him that your job is not to be Mr. Independent Banker. Your job is to help get reelected, in so many words. And this was very disturbing to Arthur Burns, to the point where he would go home at night and scribble down his thoughts and explain how Nixon was out of control and very troubling how he was running his administration. And of course, Nixon in August of 1971 took the U.S. off the gold standard. He also instituted wage and price controls. He also went to China. A lot of people hail Richard Nixon as a conservative, certainly not a free market person. But we're not getting, and he also started the Clean Air and Water Act and Earth Day. But not here to talk about Richard Nixon. We're here to see what you have to say about all this stuff. Well, let's see. Well, Anne Holloman is first with Christmas cheer. Pablo Pina is here. La Plata Peak is here. All right. Ben Zadrex asks, what's going on with the silver price? Well, we talked about it at the top of the hour, and the silver price went up a little bit, went down a little bit. It has been on an upswing generally the last 2 months. Still lagging behind the upswing of gold, but if you're hoping for a bull market in silver, you need to hope, I believe, for a bull market in gold, a little stronger bull market in gold, and then silver may play catch up. And my belief is, and it's not investment advice, it's just what I think, is that silver has trouble holding its value as much as gold for many reasons, but a primary reason is that it does not have the monetary underpinnings that gold has. It'll start to be viewed, or at least has been historically, recent history, like in 2009, 10, and 11, as a substitute monetary metal when gold price gets really high. Silver may not have that anymore. I don't know. The fact that central banks don't look to gold, it's never talked about as a monetary metal. It's all in the past. It's in the rearview mirror when silver was money, when silver was, and people get mad. Silver is money. Gold is money, period. No, not if it, to me, it's dormant money if it does not service as a medium of exchange used as a currency. It's not. And therefore, silver's price, I believe, is largely a function of its industrial and jewelry demand. Remember, investment demand is 10-12%. And that's supposedly the monetary component of it. It's not very much. That's like, on the flip side, gold's industrial demand is 10-12%. That doesn't drive the gold price or the gold demand. What drives the gold demand is jewelry and investment. What drives silver is industry and jewelry. So if gold goes up, now both gold and silver can rise if there's a lot of wealth in China and India and they buy a lot of gold and silver jewelry. We've talked about that. That's not collapse. That's not monetary issues. And in fact, if the economy gets really bad in India or China, doesn't matter what kind of collapse you have in American buying or Western European buying, won't be as much as what the Chinese and the Indians buy. All right, what else we got? Greetings, says Max Strong. Yeah, and that is pretty amazing. 25% of Litecoin. I'd imagine that should prompt that Trace Meyer guy to say, get your stuff off of their Litecoin off of Coinbase. Coinbase making their own ETF. Well, yeah. I mean, they have this little package you can buy. But it's not. And they did have some investment product, but they stopped it. Where you can, if you were an institutional investor, I read the thing, and you make over, I don't know, $200,000 a year, and you have $1 million in assets or something like that, you could buy a share in a fund, and they would store the Bitcoin and Litecoin and Ethereum for you. But the fees are very high. But there is one of those things called BTC. I can't think of the symbol of it, but it is the same thing. It's Greystone Investment Trust, and it's traded on the OTC. You can buy it and put it in your stock account, and that generally used to trade at a 2x premium, now trades at about 30% premium. And you pay that premium because the Bitcoin, you don't have to have it, you don't store it, and you can trade it like a stock. And they have, what is it? I think they have 1% of all the Bitcoin. They have 230,000 of them. So Coinbase Pro has it available immediately. Oh, I see. So I wonder what the bulk of trading is on Coinbase, whether it's on Coinbase Pro or it's on Coinbase.com. Still seems strange that if you could, why would you not be able to take it from .com, but you could take it from Pro? Maybe it's because, I don't know. I guess because the .com is their wallet service and the Pro is just a trading service. Coinbase doesn't have it because it's available in cold storage. Well, that makes sense, but I don't think it necessarily means that it is available in cold storage. You're right. So if they have theirs in cold storage and they're worried that they don't want to have a lot of Bitcoin or Litecoin out in a live wallet so you can take it, then that would make sense. But because they give it 6 days, and that means that they can play the float. And they can actually get somebody to trade a few times on that one Litecoin and gain the trading fees. Again, I don't know how it works because I don't think it would take 6 days to get it out of cold storage. And they should have a certain amount in live storage that they can deliver to you. But again, I don't know how it works. It just seems to me that even if they're not intending to do fractional, that they could indeed get away with it, because if you don't have it, but you can trade it, that means they made the money without having to deliver it. They made the trades, and if you sold out, then they're going to take their fee for selling it. They send you the money, they take a fee. So they get a lot of mileage out of that. Maybe there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not a one-to-one correspondence, it seems. Yes, the judge sounds politically motivated. Unfortunately, it sounds, well, it's interesting what the judge was doing. It sounded like he wanted to give Flynn the opportunity to say, drop the plea because I see prosecutorial misconduct. But then he switched it around and he said, I just think Flynn's a bad guy. Now, maybe he was mad at Flynn for not taking him up on it, saying, look, dude, are you stupid? If you didn't do anything wrong, why are you, and you were forced into this in perjury trap, why are you pleading guilty? I'm trying to help you out here. And when sometimes some people, when you try to do someone a favor and they don't take your favor, I guess they feel spurned. I don't know what's going on. It just seems very strange. There was no need for him to accuse Flynn of treason or infer it when the prosecutors weren't accusing him of that. It's not the judge's place to say, yeah, and you're a bad guy too while we're at it. I mean, that's for the prosecutors to trash Flynn. And then what happened apparently was the Mueller team said, no, he wasn't acting for a foreign agent when he was the national security advisor. And then Sullivan had to come back and say, never mind. Okay. I should never have said it in the first place. It's one thing to make a mistake. You can make, of course, he may have said, if it was part of the case, he could make the mistake because he got the timeline messed up. That's human error. But the real error wasn't the error in what it was that he even commented on in the first place. Didn't make any sense. All right. And now I'm going to buy mugs. I like mugs. Mugs are good. Mugs are real money. Period. Yeah, I think your last chance to get mugs for Christmas, at least from me, are going to be tomorrow, because I send them out priority. I don't think the Smaulgld store will get them to you, but I can get them to you. But you have to order it tonight, because I'll go tomorrow morning and then it's going to be crowded. But they have 2-day priority shipping, and I can get them in. And the ones that you want, the only ones you can order, the ones at the top of the screen there. The Smaulgld Super Classic and Classic mugs. The Super Classics on the left. That's $23.99. Now, that sounds expensive, but it's not, because the priority shipping costs between $7 and $9 in the continental USA. And the mug costs me about $16. So it's almost at cost there. And then the Classic mug is $19.99. But the shipping is included. You get a note. And I ship it out priority, and it comes with insurance, and you get it in 2 days. Anything else you order from the Smaulgld store, and I'll give you the link now, you're probably not going to get, I don't know if they're how quick they are. There's been a few dozen orders from the store too. I've got more orders through Smaulgld directly than from the store, but I only had one issue with the store, and it wasn't really an issue. The mug that they bought broke en route, and the guy took a picture of it, sent it to them, and they immediately refunded his money. And then what he did immediately was turn around and purchase the mug directly from me. Now, if you're going to buy from Smaulgld directly, you go to smaulgld.com. There is a PayPal option, which means you can use your credit card. But here's the Smaulgld store if you want to use that. If you want to pay in Bitcoin or Litecoin, just send me a email at smaulgld@gmail and tell me that you want to pay in Bitcoin or Litecoin, and then put your address in the email and say I just sent you Bitcoin or Litecoin in the amount of $23.99 or $19.99, and we've had a few sales that way as well. All right, and I just gave you the link for the Smaulgld store. All right, let's see. Greenspan warning now that game over, yes. And so is Yellen. Game over. Pull it. Have a great day for Faz. What does that mean, Faz? All right. Mug chairman, miser, will manipulate prices higher, in my opinion. Better get in now. Yes. You guys really should be getting your Smaulgld game changer mugs immediately. But again, tomorrow, last day for the shipment of the Classic and Super Classic mug. The Smaulgld store is open 24/7, and it ships internationally. I won't ship international anymore. I think it cost me like $20 to send stuff to Australia and to Great Britain, and then you don't get it because they like when you send to a company that does international shipping, you have less hassles with it. And so if you want to order internationally, you could order through the Smaulgld store. Let's see. I made some non-fungible call called mugs on the Wave platform. All right. Albert Sung, good to see you here. Everything will crash, including gold and silver staying cash. Now, that's not an unpopular point of view. It may be unpopular on a gold or silver channel, but apparently, if you look at today's price action, dollar index went back up today once the Fed announced. It went from 96.60 all the way up to about 97.15, and it's currently at about 97.03. Yeah, it's interesting. Even if the United States is the problem, even if the United States is the source of the chaos, they still buy the dollar. All right. Never stay in one thing, says Andrew. Yep, because balance sheet reduction and increase in the money supply. Silver has not been on an upstream. Oh, yes, Shark Air, it has. If you look, it was down at $14. I don't have to pull up the chart on you, but it's been going up since the November or so, when the price went down to $13.98. We've moved off of that low, and we're up to 14. What are we at now? We're 14.57. It's not on like a dramatic upswing, but it's definitely not heading down. 45 watching and just 10 likes. Like it, says Eli. Well, thank you. Watch to like ratio. Like it, love it, gotta have it. Now I want cold stone. Albert Sung saying, also my gold forecaster index is still in negative territory. Don't buy it. What is in your gold forecaster indicator? Ann Holloman, Charlie, the creator of Litecoin, used to work at Coinbase. Yes, and some say that's how the coin got listed, when they say other coins were probably more worthy at the time. But right now, Litecoin is the second most listed coin. It is also on all those exchanges. It's also many days the second most traded in dollar value, and it's also the second most listed on Bitcoin ATMs. Crypto shrugged off. Yeah, GBTC. That's the grayscale. That's right. Thanks for helping me out there. They've got about 220,000 Bitcoin. Can trade on Coinbase only on Pro. Okay, so when it says if you buy this, it'll be available to trade immediately. You don't trade from Coinbase, you trade from Coinbase Pro. Philip Quinn. Clickbait, Lewis. You don't have to resort to that. We know that you know your stuff. You know, we had this, I don't know if you saw this the other night, Philip. I do have to resort to that. Because okay. I'll give you the Reader's Digest version of this. And I ran this by the group. And only if the group told me you're out of your mind, don't do it, would I have not done it. Because I was planning on doing it anyway. I was looking for confirmation bias. I said, look, if I just put up Fed raises interest rates, no one's going to click on it. They already know that. Or if they didn't know it, they just learned it. Even people who think that they're not subject to being manipulated or to clickbait, you do A/B testing, even on the Smaulgld channel. The channels where I ask a question or I hype it a little spice in the headline, I get 3 or 4 times the views, and I just put Indian gold imports up 62% in January. Then I'm like, okay, I learned that. I don't need to watch this video. So I'm sorry, Philip. I agree with you. I don't like this at all. But when you look at other channels, in my objective mind, who do far less analysis and do mostly pumping and have audiences 10 times the size, there's a reason for it. They market their channels, and maybe their mediocre content gets viewed a lot. I mean, some of the channels are pretty good, but it's so I have this phrase now: come for the headline, stay for the analysis. You cannot get viewers. You can get some, as we've seen. We do have a decent group, but people need to be brought in somehow. And I'm not lying in the headlines. The Fed rate hike did bash everything. Everything went down today. If I just put Fed raises rates, markets go down, well, tell me something we don't know. So, in any event, I appreciate what you're saying, Philip, but I have to respectfully disagree that if I don't somehow promote things a little better, we're not going to get more viewers, and then I'm going to get fewer patrons, I'm going to sell fewer mugs, and as I mentioned, I don't make any money on this in the first place. At some point you say, you know what, I won't do this anymore. So, that's why I disagree. Okay, La Plata Pig says, I'm going to buy Litecoin just so I can buy a mug with it. Well, that's great. Yeah, and you could just hold it up to the screen. I mean, right now, in fact, the price of a Litecoin will get you a mug. You don't even have to send the full Litecoin. You buy a Litecoin. What is the price now? What is the price? I think it's like $29 or something. What is it? Yeah, it's $29. And then you can buy a mug, and then I'll ship it out. It's very nice of you. No fees on Coinbase Pros. Haha, La Plata, do it. I'll like to BQ my mom on purchasing mugs. Can you make us Discord Chan? What does that mean, Andrew? Can you make us Discord Chan? Make us a Discord channel. I don't know what that means. All right, Andrew, let's see what else we got here. Yes, loneliness kills. People get depressed in the Christmas season, no family or friends. That has been around. That's the long, it's ho, 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 Merry Christmas. But for some people, that's like rubbing it in because they don't have a Merry Christmas. Now, GS. You would think the judge has been in the business long enough to know that Flynn was taking the plea for other reasons. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And in fact, you would think he would know why he would reject the plea. In fact, the idea that Mueller had indicted some people on the Turkish thing was probably the reason. He's like, look, I just want to get this over with. And judge, if you're going to help me out, help me out. But don't make me put my neck out any further. I'm done with this. I want to plead guilty. And that's when Sullivan was like, well, you know, you may not get. He basically said, well, you may not get no time. I may sentence you to the full amount anyway. But I think if Sullivan wanted to help out Flynn and he thought there was some prosecutorial abuse, then he would just have spent the day saying, how come I got these documents late? How come they were incomplete? How come one document says he wasn't lying? Why did you do 3 302s? How come there wasn't one done right at the time? Well, those are questions he didn't ask. He focused on what a bad guy Flynn was. The whole thing doesn't make any sense to me. Not me says, Smaulgld velvet glove delivery service highly recommended. Yes, I'm looking at what I got here. I got 2 types of packaging. The one I'm using right now, I've got a styrofoam box, and then I have a brown paper wrapping, and I slip the note inside the box, seal that up, and then put the brown. Takes a little longer. I also have cardboard boxes that they go in, but it takes longer to put those together. Either way, you'll get your mug in 2 days if you order tonight. On the other hand, says GS. Yes, by the way, not me was the person who ordered the mug on from the store and it broke. And then he got a refund and then bought it directly from the Smaulgld headquarters. All right. On the other hand, this is GS. Since Flynn's prosecutor was saying something to the effect of, Judge, go easy on Flynn. That is correct. They were saying we're recommending low to little sentencing for his cooperation, and also understanding that if it went to trial, it would look a little hard. He might beat it. They're saying, okay, you're prosecuting for lying, but in the 302 itself, it says we don't think he's lying. So what changed? That comes a hum and a hum and a hum. You can still say, well, he was lying, and we figured it out afterwards, but it's still not, it wasn't a slam dunk case, other than if you admit you're lying, well then, and you lied to them, well then you got him. But then they figured in order to get him to admit it, they had to say, we'll give you we'll recommend a low sentence. Why would the judge expect Flynn to open up more possible problems? Exactly. So I don't think he was trying to help him. Now this thing could turn out that after Flynn cooperates or acts as a witness and actually doesn't act as a witness, then maybe he'll look at it and say, maybe he'll reopen the prosecutorial misconduct. I don't know. Very strange. Well, Shark Air is correct. Silver has been at this level for months and months. When I say yes, it's definitely below $15, $16. I'm just talking about the recent 4 or 5 week price movement from $13.98 up to $14. Yes, it's been in a range. That is definitely true. It's been in a low range. I'm talking immediate range. It's going up. But you're right. Shark Air is correct. Ann Holloman, true. Even more alert people are affected by headlines. That's right. You could think you're woke or you're not easily manipulated and you are, you're all logic and you're reason, and that's why you like this channel. But you have to admit to yourself, you see something breaking, must read. Now, you may condition yourself not to do that, and I don't use the breaking and must read unless it is breaking. But and usually it's an exclusive that I have, and I've only done a few of those. I've actually found something that no one else found. People are inclined to click on it, no matter whether you're rational, logical, or not. I don't know. There's a thing called rubbernecking. I don't know why you have to slow down to see the accident on the other side of the road. People do it. It's called rubbernecking. People like an accident. People like a spectacle. It goes back in history to all types of spectacles. That's just the human mind. You may not even think you're subject to it, and maybe you particularly are not, but most people are. And if I don't appeal somewhat to that, a lot of people are just emotional. There's nothing wrong with that either. And there's an element of emotion and reason. And if I can bring them in on the emotion and then show them some reason, I don't have a problem with it. All right. The more mugs I sell, the better. That's the point. I got to sell mugs. Mugs are life. Fed rate hike actually bashed gold and silver down in stocks bonds too. Yes, Pablo. So it's a legit title. Yeah, it is true. It knocked everything down. and even knocked the cryptos down. I mean, it's not a fake headline. I mean, I could have done much worse. I could have put apocalypse, head to the bunkers, are you ready for what's coming? Fed raises rates. I mean, iPhone sales and industry auto down, goodbye silver. I don't know about that. I don't know if iPhone sales really drive that much of the silver demand. Not me. We should say Zazzle customer service was second to none in that fragile in some language means basketball. Okay. John Moore came by late but wanted to say hi and pay with Litecoin. John Moore. I was talking about those ATMs. How Litecoin is the second most, what is the word? Listed in those ATMs. And John Moore is running around. You talk about this. You don't see this. And this is why I don't write off cryptocurrencies. People that are into cryptocurrencies, they work on it whether the price is up or down. I know that the people don't buy it. It's all retail sentiment driven. But these Bitcoin people surprise me. I mean, if you guys all know, they should probably harassed and harangued back in 2013, 12, 14, Bitcoin. People are trying to send me Bitcoin. They'll tell me about it. And the enthusiasm behind it really is incredible. And they continue working on it. And John walks, he's in the payment process business, and he's doing videos how he's going into pizza parlors and delis and getting them to sign up to pay with Bitcoin and Litecoin and getting ATMs put in their place. I mean, there is a lot of intellectual capital and enthusiasm and innovation that goes into the space. And in today's world, not in any world, that's worth a lot when you have people working on things. I mean, part of the reason they say that gold is valuable is the energy it takes to get it out of the ground. Not just that it's desirable, but if it was desirable, you can just pick it up off the street. It wouldn't be worth much. And it's rare, but it's also because it takes a lot of work and innovation to get that gold. And it's the same with cryptocurrencies. Now, you may argue, well, I'm just getting a string of digits. A lot of people disagree with that. A lot of people are actually working on this and putting real money into real projects to get the cryptocurrencies and ICOs off the ground. Very interesting. All right, let's see. Silver is going to get by the way, if you're really a crypto enthusiast, but you're also a silver enthusiast, and there's some overlap there, you can buy these really cool looking coins, and they're from Golden Eagle Coin. And I do get a small commission. That's the best part about it. And they are, I'll show you a picture of them. But I'll give you the link. Actually, you can just take a look at the link. I'll give you the link, and you can just look these up yourself. Click on these links here, and you will see Litecoin silver rounds in 999 fine silver. Not much of a premium on them. Here's the Litecoin rounds. Here's the Bitcoin rounds. Check them out. They're really cool, and I probably make like $1 or $2. No, actually on this, if you buy these, every order on these, I make $15. That's actually a very good deal. That's not why you should buy them, but I mean, you could just send me $15 if you want to send me $15. But the point is, these are really cool looking, and you get both the benefit of having silver and also I guess a marker or some type of, not a document, but you actually get a coin that it doesn't have a Litecoin on it, but it looks like one. It looks like the model. John Morris says he's going to pick up some of them over the next few weeks. Well, thank you, John. And John, you also sell those Litecoin T-shirts. This is not a paid announcement here, but he sells on his Twitter handle. Let me get put up your Twitter handle, John, and then the people can, if they're interested in Litecoin, they can buy a Litecoin hoodie if you still got those. Those are really cool. All right. Anyone else want to pump or promote? Oh, I know what I can do. I'm promoting our audience. Crypto Shrugged author. If you got a link, you want to put that up. He's written a book. I've only started. I read his short stories, which are really cool about there's Johnny Litecoin. But Crypto Shrugged author also writing about the new, you don't have it usually takes, like when the Vietnam War ended, you didn't get Vietnam War movies for a few years. Same with cryptocurrency. We haven't really had a lot of crypto stories and movies, and check out Crypto Shrugged authors, his books. Anyone else got anything that they're interested, that they're doing, I think is really cool, and they want me to mention? See, this is the way you do it. You don't take money and pretend that you believe in something. I know that if my audience is supporting me, I'll support them. Okay, let's see. GS. I'm starting to think, since even you are trying to pump slightly, no offense, the Flynn case is falling flat and no one cares. The judge was told to pump this case to distract normies. Now, I got to think about that. And again, no offense taken, because I'm partially swayed by what I hear and who I got the information from. But you're starting to think. The Flynn case is falling flat and no one cares. Now, falling flat from whose perspective? Do you mean that the mainstream media wanted to pump the Flynn case up so that Flynn was a bad guy, and by extension, Trump is a bad guy, and that Flynn is a colluder and a treasonous guy than Trump is, and that's what's fading? The judge was told to pump this case to distract the normies. Okay, yeah, so that's what you mean. That's why he threw in the treason thing. The interesting thing about the treason is he didn't commit treason, and the prosecutor didn't say he was committing treason. That's my point. And I agree with you. Then why is the judge saying that Flynn committed treason when he wasn't accused of treason and he's not being tried for treason? That is a gratuitous statement, and it's not even true. It's not like he said, hey, you're lucky, dude, that these guys didn't throw the book at you. You know, you committed treason, arguably. And then Mueller's team, and I said, no, he wasn't a foreign agent when he was making these phone calls and when he was the national security advisor. This was back in October. And then he came out and said, never mind. Johnny Litecoin, there he is. Economist cover is the virtuous man holding an iPhone with a Litecoin barcode, just like the one now on the screen. So virtuous man is pumping crypto. Now, I'm not pumping anything. I'm pointing out that there are people that are... See, there's a difference between pumping and working. Now, gold, there's nothing really you can do to work on gold. And this is why I disagree that Bitcoin and Litecoin are gold and silver, digital gold and silver. Gold is gold and silver is silver. Now, that sounds simple, but it is, because it's nature. You cannot do anything to improve gold. You can't really do anything to improve silver. What you can do slightly to get the value of gold and silver higher is you can make a nicer looking coin and you can get a premium on the coin, but that's about it. Generally, gold is gold and man can't improve on it. The difference with crypto is the only way that crypto gets worth more is if more things happen in the space and people work on things. And the fact that people work on them, I'm very intrigued with the fact that Johnny Litecoin runs around knocking on doors and trying to get people to sign up. I would never do that, and trying to sign up for Litecoin. That people invest money in creating platforms for these. Now, without these platforms, and without these innovations, and without these Q codes and wallets and miners, Bitcoin and Litecoin are worth absolutely nothing. There's a far greater amount of human input that goes into Bitcoin and Litecoin than there is gold and silver. That is why you cannot say Bitcoin and Litecoin are digital gold and silver, because it requires constant effort, it requires electricity, it requires innovation, it requires wallets, it requires mining, it requires so much stuff. Once gold is out of the ground, it doesn't require anything. You have it and it's over. Doesn't have to be on the blockchain. You don't have to private key, public key, all that stuff. You don't have to do anything. You just have gold and you're done. So that's why I find why I think there's upside in anything that people are working on. That's Warren Buffett's point. Gold just sits, and that's a feature of gold that it doesn't do anything. That's the biggest feature of gold. But the reason he likes companies are companies work to make things better, but they can also screw things up. That's why gold can't screw up. Gold can't default. Gold can't go bankrupt. Gold can't screw you out of your dividend. Gold is just gold, and that's the great thing about gold. But the great thing about a company is a company can do better. It can make more profit. It can make more innovations. It can improve its margins. Same thing with Bitcoin, Litecoin, all the cryptocurrencies, ICOs. They can actually get better. Gold and silver can't get any better than they already are. So that's why I say that it's a good sign when you see people pouring money and time into the crypto space, irrespective of the price. That's my point. Nothing to do with pumping. Has to do with an observation that they can be improved and they are being improved. Whereas you cannot improve gold and silver because they're already perfect. They're perfect for money for thousands of years, and now they're still perfect as a store of value. All right, everybody. Well, I want to thank you very much for joining me this evening, and I hope you enjoy your evening. And if you've ordered a mug, I will be at the post office tomorrow and send them out. Okay. John Moore, I like this way of looking at it. Makes sense. Bitcoin, Litecoin are more labor intensive. Clearly. And John, if people stop working on it and just let it go, it would die. Gold and silver aren't going to die. They're not going anywhere. If they stop mining gold tomorrow, if we ran out of gold tomorrow, then gold and silver would still be there and still be valuable. If the miners shut down, if all the wallet providers shut down, if the grid goes down, satellites, and they have satellites, they fall out of the sky, there is no Bitcoin and there is no Litecoin. Gold and silver, for the most part, are almost indestructible. I mean, there's certain things you can do to destroy them, but in general, if people don't do anything, gold and silver remain. If people stop Bitcoin and Litecoin, the exchanges close down, the wallets don't, or whatever it is, there's a lot of moving parts to make Bitcoin and Litecoin work. All right, everyone. Well, Seth Shepard, glad you're joining us, but we are winding down. Hope you can catch the rewind of the show, and it'll be up shortly. Thank you very much.